I think the issue being is when you try to hype everything up as much, put the budget behind it like Marvel was doing. I hope they don't get discouraged and now think that they have to pivot so much. It's like, no, just calm down. Don't put $100 million budget. Do a $15 million budget. Do a $20 million budget in this film, or doesn't need that much resources, because it's not going to return you $1 billion. The $1 billion films, those type of films are the big ones. Wait, you already have the top 10 films, those will come to it. Make the small ones and let it grow into that. These are just the entree, the appetizers, the main course is coming. Don't make every single plate the main course.
Which is why I'd like to time travel. Which is a perfect segment into discussing Loki. What's up, Leo? By the way, bro, thank you very much for tuning in, and thanks for being here on the podcast. You and I have talked about so much Marvel shit over the years, so it was perfect to have you here for this episode after episode 5 of Loki, which was absolutely insane. Can't wait to dive into it with you, bro, but thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Of course. We probably have podcast length conversations on the phone quite often about Marvel throughout the years, so it makes sense.
I mean, one of the first times that when we first started really getting in touch and talking a lot on the phone, we were like, man, these are podcasts. Like, we should try and record a podcast. And we did a lot of them.
Yeah, we'd be on the phone for like 2 hours, 3 hours. Like, wow, that could be a full podcast right there.
Yeah. And then, with what's been going on with Loki, there's literally no one else I'd rather talk to than you, because you assimilate to Loki a lot. You find a lot of commonality we've talked about. He's probably, you can speak for yourself, but favorite character in the MCU, probably.
Yeah. I honestly have high hopes for who Kang could be. But I always align with villains typically. To some extent in Loki throughout the years has always been, I draw back to him a lot.
He's so good. When I first started streaming, it was a few months before Kang had been announced, and we were still finishing off the Infinity Saga. Actually, it might have been right after Endgame or so, and there was a lot of theories going on about who's going to be the next big bad, what's going to go on, and I have a Marvel encyclopedia, and I remember opening it and showing the stream, being like, Kang has to be the next guy. He has to be, because, of course, in Infinity War, right, they introduced... Endgame, they introduced time travel, right? But we saw Doctor Strange bring up Infinity War, the multiple outcomes, so that really started opening the door. Okay, multiple outcomes, multiple universes, multiple variants, timelines. So it was just the perfect segue to go into Kang, which we can talk about a little, about how you feel and how he's been since we've seen him in Loki season 1. We've seen him in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which a lot of people didn't like that movie, but he has fantastic moments. I think he still shines, and I heard some rumors this week coming out about Marvel not being sure if they should move forward with Kang. There was some leaks from Variety, because I guess Marvel has this function that they do once a year where they kind of all go to this resort and they talk about the future. And there were some reports coming out about them wanting to alter and focus on Doom more instead in the future, which I think is total bullshit. I don't think they're abandoning Kang. That would be literally the worst idea ever. But
I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, they've planned so much around Kang and set him, finally building him up to just abandon him. That wouldn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So I think we can say that's not going to happen. Let's just assume we're moving forward. We'll get into the Loki things specifically, but how are you feeling about the Multiverse saga, where it's headed? Of course, with Loki season 2, we're getting a lot of the Kang development, so we're kind of starting to see where we're headed. How are you feeling about everything?
Yeah, I think that there's a few things, but in regards to how it's being set up, I feel that there's more backlash than there should be, and I think it's mainly stemming from, had COVID not happened, I think that we would be a different scenario. Seeing films in general changed, hence all the movies are scrutinized to such a level that it's tough. I don't think Marvel's in shambles. I think all movies are doing poorly. So the era of Marvel just releasing a film and it crushing is hard. There are valid criticisms. I did not like She-Hulk and some other ones there, but I don't think that's a reflection of the multiverse. I think that's a reflection of different avenues that Marvel's trying. But if you stick to the main components, which you can clearly see the favorites, which are Loki, which tie into it directly. Ant-Man had some poor reception, but I don't think any of the Ant-Mans were exceptionally good to any extent. I think they add to it, but I think the main films are always and have been Avengers. You can actually not watch the other external things, and if you watch the main films for the most part, back in the Infinity Saga and now, I think the same thing will happen with the Kang and the Multiverse Saga. I think it's going to be great
Yeah.
for the comic book lovers, for people that like multiverses and different theories. I think it's a great payout.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that in the Infinity Saga, there was definitely a lot that you could miss out on, but eventually they all became pretty important. Maybe not all the Iron Mans, although, in Iron Man 3, they kind of built up the fact that, they were pushing towards Ultron and wanting to
You
have
enjoy
something
it
to
more.
protect the Earth and stuff like that. So, yeah, exactly. Right. It makes the journey, of course, more worth
Sure.
it. We were just talking about in the last podcast, like telling Law here, who is a Star Wars fiend but isn't into Marvel. The only thing he's seen from Marvel is the fucking first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So I'm like, bro, like, imagine trying to catch up a casual at this point in time who's never seen anything. It's like insane,
It's tough.
insane, dude.
I was able to do it with a friend of mine. We started watching all the Marvel when it was right before Endgame.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Infinity War. It was right before Infinity War was coming out. So we knew that was going to be coming out, so we watched all of them together.
Nice, yep.
And we caught up. Even that, way back then, that was like months. That was like 3 months of, meeting up every once in a while, watching the movies together. And it was so much work. And then just, with the second season or the second phase
Yeah.
or whatever, there's just
The new Saga, yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff in there. I'm like, yeah, no shot.
And even just going back to what you were saying, Leo, like going back to, right, like some of the earlier movies in the Infinity Saga, like now we're in the Multiverse Saga, and where the fuck is Shang-Chi? Where is Eternals? I'm surprised we're not kind of dipping back into those. They've just been oversaturating the market with so many different characters, which, I think we can all kind of assume is headed to Secret Wars, right? To have multiple timelines converging and having heroes from like every movie we've ever seen fighting each other to defeat Kang. So that'll be pretty cool.
Hulk's son.
Yeah. Everybody, Hulk's son, brother, cousin.
Scar.
Yeah. It was just
I think
the Hulk son that just appeared like at the end of She-Hulk.
Oh, I didn't finish
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Scar.
They introduced Scar and I was like, oh, cool. He's just gone. And I was like, all right,
It's
that's
Scar, right? Or Skull or something like that.
something like that. I think it is Scar.
The only things I didn't finish were She-Hulk and Miss Marvel. I didn't even start. But I saw like the final clip of like her and Captain Marvel switching bodies, and that leads into the Marvels movie, which is coming out this Friday. Which supposedly there's a teaser tonight that's really going to show what it's all about, and I guess it's timelines converging, like universe melting into one another, which we knew was going to happen after Multiverse of Madness. So there's just so much to dissect here, but let's go back to Loki. How are you feeling about the series so far? I know season 1 you were a huge fan of. You even dressed up as the TVA, right, for Halloween last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Oh, I was a variant when I went to Disneyland. Yeah, I was the Loki variant with
That's
back when I had the long hair still.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think that I said this when it first came out in the first season, and I'm standing by it now. It is the best series. What If is really great. I don't think What If is bad, but it is the best Marvel series that they have. Without a doubt, if you don't agree with me on that, no one can disagree that it's the most impactful series of a Marvel show.
I don't think
currently.
anyone's going to argue with you about it being the best. I think we're at the point where everyone's like, yeah. WandaVision, right after it happened, people were kind of like, maybe this kind of lines up with Loki. But after some time, and now this second season, it's just not even close. Loki's just so far ahead of everything else.
Yeah. WandaVision for me was a close second. I liked WandaVision.
It's the closest
lot.
thing to the quality of Loki for sure.
Yeah, and I think equally so, WandaVision also had impact because it directly led into Multiverse of Madness. So you had that. I think it's also benefit when one thing I appreciate if they can tie the shows closer to the films.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Miss Marvel would have been so much better if the movie and the show aligned a little bit closer, I think the fan base from there would hop onto it sooner. I'm not sure why they're delaying things a little bit more. I think that would be more of a payback. But
Just
without a doubt,
not to interrupt you there, but I think there might be a setup with this Loki season 2 finale on Thursday and the Marvels dropping on Friday. I'm not sure, but it just feels like very convenient timing. And like you
yeah.
said, that's how they should have lined it up, right? We should have been getting like Miss Marvel finale on Thursday, and then you drop the Marvels on Friday. Like, I think their content plan has just been weird, disorganized, but continue.
I think there might be some effects by reshootings and things. So I'm assuming there's outside forces. It's the same with Ant-Man. I know we touched upon it and then we're focusing on Loki, but just, Ant-Man was supposed to originally end with them not beating Kang and staying trapped versus Kang, the Conqueror, being pulled in, which I believe he's being pulled in, and that's going to make him He Who Remains, and that's how he meets Eliath. I don't think he's dead. That's why that whole like we ended him right, and then they showed the Council of Kings. I don't think that's what they're. That's just like a misdirect. I think actually that King didn't die. He got pulled in, and that's where he's going to find Eliath. My own theory there, but
I also heard a theory that Kang might have been pulled into. Sorry for the language. There's just so many different fucking words in the Loki thing with the fucking time, temporal aura, fucking shit, whatever. Supposedly, there's a theory that he got sucked in, and that when we get the finale on Thursday, when they try to fix the machine to fix the timelines, that'll be what pulls out Kang the Conqueror, and that was basically his entire constructed plan, was to get to this point where Loki would have to, in a way, almost invent the TVA, which we're finding out now he's really, the foundation of everything. Ouroboros, who is Obi in the show, right? He is the one that's responsible for writing the notebook of the TVA, of all the rules and everything that happens there. His meaning in whatever fucking mythology is Norse mythology is the snake eating its own tail, right? So that everything, there is no beginning to anything, and I think that's what's kind of been playing out in the show is Kang's plan the whole time, and it seems that it's going according to plan. So we might see Kang the Conqueror on Thursday, which would be fucking insane.
Would be amazing. I really like the Kang potential. It's especially with Jonathan Majors. I think he's a great character choice, and the whole Ouroboros, like the bootstrap conundrum that we're in, where it's like you mentioned, Obi created that notebook, but he created it originally when you first hear it, because he was inspired by Victor Timely, who was inspired by the book that was given to him by Renslayer. That was Obi's, but we find out that Loki gave it to it, so it's like a ending paradox. It's the same thing. There was a show that we watched recently that had something similar to that, but it's essentially this called Bodies, but it's essentially like if you're your own grandfather. So it's kind of like you're stuck in this conundrum.
Right, like never ending loop.
Yeah. Well, basically it's the idea of like, think of if you came from the future, right? Where today you create a time machine and you get the book that has all of Einstein's theories or all Einstein's theories or Galileo's or whoever, and you bring it back to them before they actually created it. In theory, they never created it. They got it from a book that created it. So in theory, they never came up with the idea. So like, how does that really work,
Right, but what came first? Was that time travel what happened first, right? Did he ever even have that knowledge, or was it always
from this book?
Right, exactly. Which is what we're dealing with Loki, which is fucking delicious, because time travel is my favorite thing in any, film, game, medium at all. It's my favorite theme to follow along. Even this past weekend, I've been telling Bella for a long time she's got to watch the Terminator movies, at least the first 3, because that's kind of like the basis of it. And we've watched 1, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then we did 2 and 3 this past weekend. And it's a time travel movie, so that was just super satisfying to watch as well.
Which time travel theory or movie do you think that does it the best? Terminator, Back to the Future, Loki?
Does it the best? That's a fucking good question. Honestly, it might be Loki.
Yeah.
It might be Loki. I mean, things that come to mind, like, Endgame. Of course, the other 2 that you just said. I've seen a lot of time travel things.
I think the shows that I think are better.
Really? Like what?
I think There are two shows that come to mind instantly that are on Netflix. The one I just watched recently called Bodies. I'm telling you, I think it's 8 episodes or 12 episodes. You will fall in love with it. It is one of the best ever.
Okay.
It's
Damn.
the premises of it is 4 time periods where a body shows up in this area in London, this dead body, and 4 detectives of 4 timelines, the same body with the same markings, the same place, naked, and everything, and they have to figure this out. Super interesting, super great story, and based off a DC comic that was written by a author, a group of authors, and one of them passed, and so they created a series about it, and it's won over like really well. And there's another series called Dark that does something similar. That's I think German based.
Ooh.
But both of those are on Netflix. Dark is longer, so that might take some more time. But if you have time this weekend or in the next couple weeks, I really suggest watching Bodies.
Okay.
It is amazing.
Fam, could we get a list of like top time travel shows, movies?
Yeah.
I'd love to go through it and kind of weave out what I've seen and stuff, because there's so much. I mean, even going back to what was it fucking called? There was this Disney show, what was it fucking called? There's like these 3 kids in high school, and they invent the time travel machine, and they time travel back.
Did they wear the snow parkas and the white snow parkers? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Minutemen. Oh my
Minutemen.
god!
Yeah, I remember that. And they had like the little furry thing. I bought a jacket like that because of that movie.
That movie might have like ignited my love for time travel things, to be honest, because I would have seen that around maybe 10, 11 years old, maybe even younger. So I've always been into time travel. It's like one of my favorite things to watch. So here, fam pulled up a list.
Jeez,
Oh man,
there's a lot.
Woo.
Do you know what where was it? Interstellar. I feel like that should be on your list as
absolutely. Let me just name off a few that I have here for you, Leo. So I see Primer, Interstellar, The Time Machine, Predestination, About Time, which is my favorite rom-com of all time, by the way. Looper, The Time Traveler's Wife, also great. Butterfly Effect, Tenet,
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine, Midnight in Paris, The Atom Project with Ryan Reynolds, which was actually very good. That one made me emotional.
That young actor was really good.
Yeah. On Tenet, I do want to say I like the way Tenet does time travel, where it's very different, where it's not they just hop back and they just, pop in another time period completely. That one is like your time's just moving backwards. So you're kind of just going with, and like that's an interesting theory. Like I never thought about time travel that way.
It might be one of the most creative approaches.
Yeah.
For sure. Time Freak is another good one.
Back to the Future, obviously, is probably the
Back to the
Terminator.
Future. Yeah.
Back to the Future's OG. I love Back to the Future so much. I've watched all the
Really?
movies multiple times. Yeah.
I've only seen the first one.
Really?
And I hear it gets better. Is that true? Or is it get worse?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember what was
So the first one is where he goes back, right? Like and he sees his mom, and his mom is interested in him. It's mad weird. That was a good one.
Yeah, I think the first one was like, at least in my opinion, the most iconic one. That's the one I always think about. All the other ones, they were different themes. The second one's when they actually go to the future. Because if you think about it, Back to the Future, but
remember the first was like Back to the Past.
Yeah.
Well, Back to the Future is them trying to get back.
back into the future.
present. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, the second one's fucking wrong then.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second one's fun. Third one is like, at least that's the most forgettable one for me. It's still good, but it's a little bit more. It's a cowboy one, so a little bit more forgettable. But I think definitely the first one is the best one in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, Leo. Going back to Marvel,
Loki.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had a theory just now, and you mentioned a name that I wasn't familiar with. Who did you say?
Wait, Eliath?
Yeah, who's Eliath?
So do you recall in season 1 when they get to the palace at the end of time or whatever it's called?
The big beast. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and so when Kang, or He Who Remains, right, this version of Kang, He Who Remains, he's like, I weaponized Eliath and ended the multiverse of war. So if that's supposed to happen, which we imagine how it's going to happen, is that has to happen no matter what. There's going to be a Kang out there, if it's King the Conqueror, or if it's the other one, or it's Victor Timely, whoever it is, will weaponize Eliath and then use him to end the war. And we know that the Council of Kangs only does not like one Kang, which
Right.
is the King the Conqueror, and he got pulled into that little red looking thing, right? The little.
Right.
So my theory when I saw that, I instantly thought, oh, he's being thrown into like pruning basically. So he's going to that area where it's pruned, and he's gonna find Eliath, and then he's going to build because like he was thrown into the quantum realm, he built his empire there. Now he's
Mm.
gonna get thrown into this area where everyone gets pruned, essentially this area of I forget what they call it, but like the end of time or whatever, where everyone's getting pruned. He's going to survive because he seems to survive everything. He's
Right.
going to find Eliath, weaponize it, and so when the Council of Kangs tries to unify and do everything, and they have like the multiverse war. He's going to come in with Eliath and just destroy everything.
Now,
That's how I imagine it.
are you in the same belief that we're headed to Secret Wars and then we're gonna have a multiversal war and then they're gonna restart the universe and start from square one? Are you kind of in with what people are believing is gonna happen?
I believe that could happen. I don't necessarily know for sure. Like I don't bet on that. I do think that there's going to be the multiversal war. There's going to be a lot of that. I just don't know that they would restart everything. I think they could do it, and I think it would be a smart move. It would be tactical, but they have so many side characters that they can just go down the line. I mean, they already introduced the young Black Panther. They introduced Ironheart and all these other characters that if it seems like they want to go down that route, they could.
Mm-hmm.
I do think from a fan base, it would make more sense and would spark more interest to go and restart from zero because that would
Right.
be super cool to see a new universe. I think even Echo, they were trying to say it's not going to be super tied into the MCU's current
Yeah.
events,
Well, it's
which I think
under.
is smart because it's a lot to manage at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and it's under the new theme, which is called Marvel Spotlight, right? Where I think that's where they're going to do all their grounded heroes, and I think that's where they're going to focus all their rated R TVMA content. And it was
Mhm.
actually just announced today officially that Blade is going to be rated R. We know Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R, Echo is TVMA, and also Marvel Zombies. So, Disney is starting to open up opportunities here for some more mature content. And we were talking about it earlier. If Disney's starting to play with these things with Marvel, that's a great opportunity because that's not just Marvel content, right? That could lead into Star
Star
Wars
Wars.
content eventually, having their own What If series, having their own mature content. So the future of mature content from Marvel is going to be very exciting. Very
Yeah, I
exciting.
think it needs to. I mean, rewatched that clip. Remember that clip even with Iron Man 2, I believe, where he's in the courtroom. I don't think it's Iron Man 1. I think it's Iron Man 2 when he's in the courtroom and he's like, I privatized world peace and you're mad. You want my property. You can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
That whole court scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy's like, F you, Mr. Stark, F you, and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like that
Yep.
doesn't happen under Disney,
Right.
where they're swearing because it was a big like, oh my gosh, I think the first swear since Disney took over was with the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Yep.
which
For
was
F-bomb.
perfect in
And
my
it's like,
opinion.
It was perfect.
yeah. I think it was improv too, and they're like, let's keep it. I think that scene was with the door, right?
Mm-hmm. With the door.
Um,
Yep.
and so I think that they're realizing like we can do this. It's not kids movies. I think that they can have the kids allocated movies, and kids aren't watching these things. Like
Yeah.
truly,
Yeah.
it's not the main demographic. No one's getting mad at them if they have F words. Just make it clear,
Mm-hmm.
and just rate it right. If you rate it R, no one's going to be mad at you if you do rate it R. They're gonna be mad at
Exactly.
you if you rate it PG and then you have an F bomb. That's going to be the problem. But if you rate it correctly, no one cares.
Exactly. Exactly. And with certain pieces of content like Blade, like hopefully
It has to be.
they're gonna do Daredevil again, right? They threw out the script, they threw out the writers, directors, they fucking fired everybody. I think they're bringing in, if I'm not mistaken, the writer from Logan to do Daredevil, or was that for
Ooh.
Blade? It's one or the other. But obviously, a lot of different moves that Marvel's making to try and correct the course because they've definitely made a lot of questionable decisions. And I've always been a huge fan of Feige, obviously because we wouldn't be here without him. So I trust his vision, and maybe his vision was a little bit too big. When we were leaving the Infinity Saga, I was saying something similar like, yo, this multiverse saga should be like 20 years, and it should culminate with fucking 5 Avengers movies and just like really build it out. And I think quickly people were feeling way too overwhelmed with that. So I think we're probably going back to the 10-year strategy. And by the time, the multiverse saga started to the time it'll end, it'll probably be that same time span as Infinity Saga.
I think it's just hard for them to produce such a massive movie like Endgame and Infinity War was, for them to go back into, you know, the smaller films. Like
They started to do it right though.
yeah,
You know?
it was just like it got built up so much that when they went back into it, it kind of seemed like they wanted to rush into the next one. Like, oh, I want to pump out that good. But it's like, yeah, but you get an end game and an Infinity War when you take your time to build it up. End game and Infinity War wouldn't have hit as hard if it wasn't for all the other movies
Yeah.
leading up to it. So for them wanting to, like, I feel like kind of rush into the kind of build up, that it was like, no, like, you're not going to get the result you want.
Which is why I don't overreact too much when it comes to, you know, how people are feeling about certain titles and like She-Hulk and how, you know, certain stuff like that. Because when we were in the Infinity Saga, you know, nobody liked the Thors,
Yeah.
right? But it still ended up meaning something. It still ended up helping to get to the greater point. It helped, you know, get our evolution of Loki. You know, there's so much Loki content in there that we got from that. So yeah, I think they just got to cut it down a little bit, but they had a good start off there, right?
Yeah.
Loki season 1, WandaVision, What If, Shang-Chi was fantastic. I think Eternals gets way too much hate. I actually enjoyed Eternals. Do you like Eternals, Leo?
Not as much. I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
Again, I think this. I think it's like it's similar to like in lifestyles when you know everything has to be better. You produce a podcast, every episode has to be better than the big one. It's because how we're used to. It's like you go on a vacation, you would sacrifice some vacation sometimes because you want the next vacation to be living up to the expectation of the last.
Right.
And I think um, with franchises, with businesses, when you have that same perspective and then you align that with movies, it's like if the movie's not a blockbuster, then it's not like it's not worth doing, and it shouldn't be the case. Marvel should be releasing the smaller films that they expect to do worse. They shouldn't put the same budget into Miss Marvel that they did into Endgame. That doesn't make sense. You know, it's Endgame versus like Miss Marvel, right? Like, I still like the idea that you don't have to watch every single Thor to watch Endgame and enjoy it. It makes it better. It doesn't make the experience more fun to have watched the other everything and get all the Easter eggs and the callbacks, but you don't lose or detract, right? The same way I don't think the shows. I think the shows are really great for us that watch it. But if someone doesn't watch the shows and just watches the movies, they should be able to watch the movies and still have a great time. And I think the issue being is when you try to hype everything up as much, put the budget behind it like Marvel was doing. I hope they don't get discouraged and now think that they have to pivot so much. It's like, no, just calm down. Don't put $100 million budget. Do a $15 million budget. Do a $20 million budget in this film. That's not that important or doesn't need that much resources because it's not going to return you $1 billion. The $1 billion films, those type of films are the big ones. Wait, you already have the top 10 films, those will come to it, make the small ones and let it grow into that. These are just the entree. These are just the appetizers. The main course is coming. Don't make every single plate the main course.
Exactly. I think they were headed to the right direction. I think there was just a few questionable decisions throughout there that that we'll have to,
which are fine.
Yeah, which are fine. And I feel like I haven't been overreacting. I'm obviously disappointed in how things have turned out. It's a little bit oversaturated, but I still think we're headed in the right direction. I think the Kang, wanting to switch from Kang to Doctor Doom is just ridiculous. Thinking that we need to take a huge turn here, I think is ridiculous. As long as Kevin Feige's in charge, I'm going to trust this man. He did 10 years of right, and he changed the superhero genre forever. So I think he'll get it right. I think we're going to course correct a little bit here. And I also think that Marvel is well connected to the community. I think they actually have people within their company listening and watching these different, Screen Crush or New Rockstars video. They're kind of embedded into the Twitter culture. I think they're kind of keeping an ear to the audience. So when I know things like that, that makes me feel very confident, right? Because we talk about it here all the time, and not to, beat a dead horse, but someone like COD, in that community, that the developers aren't listening to the people. And you can see how the adjustments that they're making, the decisions that they're making aren't coming from, some of our input. It's really just based on however they feel. And I think that's the wrong way to go. So as long as I think that culture is there, then we're headed for some positive things for sure.
Yeah, I think as long as they listen, they don't overreact. And I mean, maybe not Kevin Feige, but anyone above him, Bob Iger, anyone from Disney, don't overstep their place and trust in the process as well, then I think we'll have a great return. And it will, I think it will be cathartic. I would be very disappointed if they scrapped, um, you know, all of Kang because I truly like him
Yeah.
and I like the potentiality of it.
Yeah, and I also heard that they were potentially there might be a rush to get Doctor Doom into the Fantastic Four movie, which I think is also a horrible idea. You've been putting Doctor Doom on the shelf for God knows how long. Obviously, you didn't really have full access to him until the Fox deal went through. But I know that they've been planning on using him for a long time. And if they really wanted to use him earlier, they could have, right? They could have made the same deal that they made with Sony to use Spider-Man, right? The same deal that they have with Hulk and whatever the fuck owns him, Columbia or whatever. So, you know, I think we're headed for a better future. Let me list out some of the properties that came out in the Multiverse Saga, and you just tell me if you enjoyed them or not, okay? Black Widow,
No.
Shang-Chi,
Yes.
Eternals,
Mid.
No Way Home,
Yes.
Multiverse of Madness,
Yeah.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Really?
Huh.
Expand on that just briefly.
I think Gore was a much better character in the comics and much more potential there than they played him out. I just wish they did him better, did better justice to him.
But what keeps that movie justifiable to you? Because you're saying you liked it, right? Or you would
It's
keep
meh.
it
It's passable.
passable.
Yeah, I forget. You can't really see my face too much, but it's passable. It's not a fail. It's like a D.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I know fam here hated it. I kind of walked out of the theater like, oh, I just saw a kids movie. And
Pretty
once
much.
I accepted that, it kind of brought the bar down. But if you're looking for faults in Marvel, I mean that's probably going to be one that people run to pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I'm comparing it to Marvel. So if
Right.
I was just to say like, okay, as a comic book fan, if I was a child, like setting up, it's their kids in the movie. It's the um it's kids of the director, kids of Hemsworth and everything. I'm like, it's cute, it's inspiring, whatever, but it's very much just a jokey story. And if they said it was all a fever dream, I would have been equally okay with it. If they were like, oh, at the end of the film, if Thor just woke up and it was all a dream, I would have been equally okay with it. That's why I say it just passes because they did have a good character. Like I do like Gore, but I wish they did him more better
I
service to him.
I just hope that when we inevitably get another Thor movie, because I think we will, I hope it's the best one yet. Because
But do you
if
think
we're
this is the
being
worst Thor movie? Because all of Thor sucked to me.
no,
Compared to the
no,
Thor
No,
movies,
what is like
where did it fall from
the
Thor?
second
the
one or
Dark
whatever, the
World.
Dark World? Yeah, that one's the most forgettable movie. I can't even tell you what the main villain was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all
The evil
about
elf.
the
Elves.
Mind Stone in that one, right? No, not the Mind Stone.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
where
Mind
his mom
Stone?
dies. It's
Yeah,
a great. It's a terrible movie. It has one of my favorite scenes of Loki where he's in the his cell and
yep,
he's like, you know, my fault. Who killed? Who was there? Tell me. In that whole scene, it's like him broken because he lost his mom because it was like the only person he really connected to. So,
yeah.
um, great payout. It's like there's a couple things where there's a great scene, but the rest of it's not great. So that's kind of like like we're saying, like there's still a gift in it,
Yeah,
but it's the rest.
yeah. And we can all agree that Ragnarok was the best, right? For sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
It's the only one
best
that's
Thor.
actually like good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, wow, Thor is actually doing well.
yeah. Like this is a real movie.
Yeah,
Okay, continuing the list. Wakanda Forever.
yeah.
Agreed. Quantumania.
As a king, yes.
Same. Guardians 3.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's a strong yeah. That movie made me
Yeah,
cry.
for sure. For
That
sure. Sorry,
was
I had to think about it for a second. Yeah,
it's
for
okay.
sure.
That was so beautiful, man. So beautiful and just such great
Mhm.
writing and payoff
I think
from the whole
it
series.
was definitely better than Guardians 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, Guardians 2 is
The last
good.
Guardians.
Guardians
That's
2
what
has a
I
great
took a
intro.
second for some reason. I was thinking of Guardians 2, and I was thinking Ego, and I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, no,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
long ago.
I was trying to remember
Yeah.
what Guardians 2 was, and like it was Ego. I'm like, yeah, another one where it was kind of like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Great characters, still good writing, good direction. So it passed as like a solid movie. But yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think
probably the least of the series.
Guardians for me, it's like they've all made me laugh. There's funny moments in each one of them. They've all made me laugh, but it's just like you're based it off the story as well, and like how compelling is the villain? You know, how much do I, connect with the villain? How much is this contributing to a story? Guardians 2 was definitely the one where it was at least like, oh, like I don't really care that much about Ego, and it was just something just so weird about it.
Yeah. The Marvels, which is going to come out tomorrow. Or sorry, no.
I don't even know. I'm not gonna watch it.
3 or
so
4 days. Even if
not even gonna watch
the trailer tonight really, because they're dropping at halftime of Monday Night Football. Supposedly the trailer is very good and kind of emphasizes more about what the stakes are behind the movie.
I saw another trailer for it, right, and it tied back to Thanos a bit. It showed like the person like, I want to end everything, and it looks like some female character. I don't know who she is from the video that I saw. I still don't feel compelled yet to watch it. I would not watch it still, and probably going to watch something about it afterwards, or once it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, same.
Not gonna go pay to watch it in theaters.
Same. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at so far. That's been released. Let me just give you the rest of the list, and you tell me your excitement level for those projects. Deadpool 3.
Super excited.
Same. Brave New World. Captain America.
Not gonna watch it unless it's on Disney Plus.
That should be a very, very interesting one. I thought Falcon and
I
Winter
imagine it's
Soldier was
good. It was
Yeah.
good. It wasn't
Really?
bad.
yeah, it was
Good.
Yeah,
I liked his action. I liked the him using the wings and the shield at the same time.
Yes.
I love just the action scenes in general with both of them. I was very compelled by that. Story wise, again, it was but the action scenes at least. So if they take the route where they did like Winter Soldier, very action heavy movie, where it's very, I love the action scenes in Winter Soldier. If they take that route in this as well with Sam using the wings and the shield, I'm all for it.
Yeah, which you will. Quick question that just came up in my head. Who has the better trilogy, Guardians or Cap in the MCU? So you got first Cap, Winter Soldier, Civil War, and then you got the first 3 Guardians, of course.
Captain.
Me too.
Has to be Cap.
Yeah, me too.
It has to be Cap.
I had to think for a second, but yeah, Cap. Yeah.
I think Winter Soldier is probably one of the best MCU movies.
That's what I was gonna say.
I love 2 or 3.
It has to be Cap just because of the Winter Soldier. That movie, like, it was fairly even, and then Winter Soldier just takes it to another level.
Even Civil War is great too.
Yeah.
I mean, Civil War is great. I think my least favorite Captain America is the first one, to be honest with you.
Oh, I love
And
that
then my
one.
least favorite Guardians is the second one.
The first one was like, vanilla-ish. It was very like origin story and,
Yeah.
But Chris Evans on screen, man, he just carries it. He's just so great with emotion, and I fucking love him so much. Okay, continuing, Thunderbolts, which
Not even interested.
I don't even know if that's still coming out. Not that interested either. Blade. Now that it's confirmed today, rated R.
Sure.
Hell
Yeah,
fucking yes.
Yeah. I don't know what we're not using any metrics, but the maximum that I can. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if that's full dark killing zombies and fuck yes, that would be fantastic. I think
I'd rewatch the original just to watch and then watch that too. So
hell yes. Continuing Fantastic Four, of course.
the thing is, I've all the Fantastic Fours to me have sucked.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to watch it and I will watch it, but I'm just like hoping they don't mess it up because I don't like any of the Fantastic Fours.
Nope.
Like the remade one they made a few years back and then all the originals. I don't like them.
I wouldn't say I don't like them. They're not very memorable, except for the Silver Surfer, which I thought the CGI for the Silver Surfer, even back then, like that was actually pretty good. He looked pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But I know from multiple interviews that Feige holds the Fantastic Four to like the highest regards. So I know for him that's like his precious passion project. And similar to Daredevil, like if they go to screening after post-production, everything, I think he'll scrap it. He'll obviously have a lot of pressure from Disney and Marvel, but I would be shocked. I feel like Feige considers the Fantastic Four movie to be like his moment in his career. I think it'll mean a lot to him personally. So I can't imagine that going bad. Obviously, based on the older ones, it's not a great track record, but I think he'll do it right. King Dynasty and Secret Wars. I mean, that's no question,
All
right?
equally. Max excited, yeah. No
Max
question.
excited.
Yeah.
Okay, brother. Well, that's the whole list. Before I let you out, I need to ask you a few other questions about something off topic of Marvel because I
and
know.
Loki though, we still haven't really addressed how you feel about God of Stories, like him taking over that
Oh,
side of it, and how
fuck
you feel about
yeah.
all that since episode 5.
I'm so happy. I think it leads to so many possibilities. If he's not the god of mischief anymore, he's a god of stories, and we know that's based off of a comic that came out, I think, in 2016.
Agent of Asgard, I think it's called.
So it just opens up the possibility to everything. And I don't know if you've been seeing, but the Avengers account on Instagram has been teasing and showing like old Loki clips and like very, very specific canon moments. So I don't know if they're setting up something to where he can literally rewrite the MCU if he wanted to. He could go back to the last time he saw Thor and change what he said. He could save his mother from dying. He could I don't know. He could do anything. He could go back to, the Battle of New York, and instead of trying to go against the Avengers, choose to team up with them. Like,
And he
especially
is the
knowing if
Loki from New York.
exactly
Because we forgot to think that he is the Loki that came right after he was imprisoned in New York.
Yeah.
right.
So
And if he knows in his future, right, that war and them invading Earth was really the beginning of Thanos's journey and mission to coming to Earth to get the final Infinity Stones. So if that's what led to those bigger moments, he could go back to that and just be like, no, I'm not doing this, and team up with Avengers or whatever. So the possibilities are crazy. I'm hoping that it really is that big of a moment, and him, having this character shift will really pay off in huge ways. I'm hoping it's not just like he's like, I can rewrite the story, right? That's the last thing he says in episode 4. And then it doesn't really like end up paying off that much. So I'm just hoping if they said something that crazy that they really drive it home and they do something special.
yeah, I don't know if he can go back that far. I imagine that if he goes back that far, he would never get to the point of having those powers. So I imagine that there's probably some limitations, but because he's from technically the time that he's from is from New York onwards, I imagine it's free reign anywhere from New York onwards.
Right.
After the Battle of New York, at least it wouldn't affect him in current day stage, right? So if he went before then, so if he stopped the actual battle, it might affect where he never got escaped, and if he never escaped, he never would have become the God of Stories.
Right,
But up
because
until
him
after
going
then,
to
technically
TVA
free reign.
is his canon moment. That has to happen for
Yeah,
Kang's
so-
mission to be accomplished.
Yeah, so I'm interested. I'm interested to see how that happens, but it's exciting.
Incredibly exciting, man. Incredibly exciting,
Yeah.
and such a payoff for a character that has gone through so much since we first started with him. I don't know of any character in television history that has grown as much as Loki. Swear to God.
Character development is crazy. Crazy.
In fucking insane. From invading Earth and wanting to kill everyone and be the lord of all to now saving the timeline and doing it because he has friends that he loves and he doesn't want to be alone. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, when V and I were watching Loki, we were even talking about it. It was like, oh yeah, like do you remember in the first Avengers movies, like we were supposed to hate this guy, and now like we're just watching a full show about him when like he's our favorite character now. And it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot we were supposed to hate him. Like we forget he's a villain.
And I heard theories that he could potentially be Prime Avenger because of
gonna
his
say, the Avenger
abilities, that
Prime.
he could literally be the leader of the Avengers because of where he is now at mentally, and because of his goals are now aligned with our heroes, and his ability to travel through time willingly without a stone. Why not? I wonder if they always had this plan for Loki from the beginning. That's something I'd be very curious about. I'm assuming not. I remember hearing something from the Russos when they were directing Winter Soldier and Infinity War and Endgame, and they were saying how their approach is kind of writing themselves into a corner so that whoever takes on the next project from them, they kind of have to just, take themselves out of that corner. Like just write yourself out of it rather than trying to set something up, So I think that Marvel's probably been on that direction of just like, we'll just go as we go, and we'll make adjustments as we feel like we should.
And they have so much resources because it's different. They're not making original stories. They can adjust it and take their vision. But it's not like Star Wars where when they create the reason why I think Star Wars the sequels didn't work like that is because you put yourself in a corner and then you give it to the next person and then they could just go off script. But with this, it's very hard to go off script because even if you go, it's like they only had a few options to do with Loki, anyways. So as long as they're following the comics, which they typically do to some extent, not always the extent we want, but to some extent they are, can't go too wrong.
Yeah, and I mean with basically every Marvel project we've had, they've pulled from the comics. You know, they've used the comics as the source material, which is my favorite part about what they do. I think if they keep those bones, then I mean, who knows, man? We could go forever with Marvel. We might be
for
having
sure.
Marvel movies for the next fucking 10 decades.
Yeah, I really hope that they continue. And like we said earlier on in the conversation, if they were to restart everything, I don't mind it. I don't think it's terrible. The whole Big Bang cliffhanger on was it episode 3 or 4? That whole idea would have been fine with me if they from there just restarted the entire MCU with different people. I wouldn't mind it.
What
It's
were
not necessarily the way I would go.
what were your thoughts when that episode ended like that? What did you think was going to happen next?
So obviously the new Rockstars, those things didn't come out yet. So I was trying to think of my own, and I really did think like maybe it was going to go back to the Citadel and have like Kang appear and be like either a monologue of him saying that would happen, and they all see what happened. I always imagined ever since like the Twilights and those ones where it's like it's all a dream or it's all a vision that could happen in any movie. And honestly, I wouldn't even be that mad sometimes. A little mad, but I imagine either it would be something like that, or it would really be like a rebirth, and it's like a cycle, and then somehow they had to get out of this cycle of things happening, almost like a Dormammu, event
from Doctor
like
Strange.
that
That was great.
Yeah,
that was fucking fantastic.
I think that there's a lot of exciting opportunities for the God of Stories, and I think it's a great arc in character development with a lot of characters who don't get that chance to redeem themselves. That's the one thing about Marvel does really well for the most part has been redeemable villains, and villains have like I can coincide with Thanos, I can coincide with Loki. You can see their pain, and they're not just like this, mustache twirling. I'm evil just for the sake of being evil. Most characters in that have a reason to be who they are, and they're more misunderstood or delusional rather than just pure evil.
And I think that they're partially waiting for Loki's story to kind of play out because I think that's what they're going to want to do with Doctor Doom is really stretch him out over time, have him start as kind of like a hero or someone with minimal direction and then turn his arc into this crazy thing over, 10, 20 years. So he's probably the second coming of Loki in the MCU history. I wanted to ask you, right? I think we're all aware of how the MCU has affected the film industry when it comes to the multiverse, right? As soon as Marvel started to go into the multiverse, we saw the film industry and video games and everything start to really focus in on the multiverse. I mean, we've got Spider-Verse after that. We got Everything Everywhere All at Once after that. We got the Atom Project. I mean, the multiverse things and time travel was just going crazy for these last few years. And now with Invincible, which is a show that I love, season 2 just dropped. And we find out in the first episode that the villain is basically Kang and is basically an exact copy of Kang and the abilities that he has as far as traveling through different timelines and different multiverses and wanting to have all the knowledge from all of his different variants to be able to, take over the world, essentially. And it seems after the first episode, a lot of his mission now, I guess, is going to be centered around getting revenge on Invincible, but we'll have to see how that plays out. So just wanted to ask you how you're feeling about that first episode and how Marvel has really guided the way for a lot of this time travel multiverse stuff in this new age of television and movies.
I think that it's funny. I don't, to be honest, I have a different view. I don't think it's Marvel influencing it. I think it's similar to there was a time where every film you saw was an end of the world, apocalypse. And then there was a time that everything was zombies. And then there was a time that everything was do you remember when It was A Day After Tomorrow. It was like literally the movie Apocalypse. Then it
Yep.
was 2012. It was around 2012. And I think there are times that things just influence people and it happens because when it comes to Invincible, yes, you can draw the correlation because it's a superhero movie and all these things and that's the king. But that character,
Comes from the
he
comics,
wants to
right?
create his utopia and everything. It's been in the comics like 10, 15 years ago, I think it was.
It's
He
true.
was first written in. And they wanted to introduce him and they just thought that this was the best time. He was introduced in like episode 16 or something in the comics if you read it. So it's like not that long ago, not that I think they even mentioned on like verbatim, like it wasn't that sparked it. It just seemed like the right time, and it makes sense because ultimately, if they go down the track record of the Viltrumites and the wars and all these things, like it's the only option they have. They have to introduce them now.
God,
They don't have a lot of options. So I think it's just funny how things coincide
that's
like
a
that.
crazy coincidence, dude.
But it's everything. Like
Yeah.
you think about that. Like, is it really that everyone? It's like rom-coms. Remember, like the golden age of rom-coms. I don't know that everyone, like one person started and everyone's like, "That's a great idea." I think it's just like
Okay, well then
it's almost like a
maybe in the
hive mind. It's almost like hive mind. We all
true.
want it, right? It's like we all like. There was a time there was always like all those like catastrophe films. Not even a apocalypse. It was like tornado, this
San
hurricane, this.
Andreas, yeah, there was a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah,
2012.
I actually even brought up a list because I've seen this list before of movies that have pretty much extremely similar plot points that were released around the same time, and there's a lot of them.
There is a lot.
Ants and Bug Life is a big one. Ants
Yeah,
and Bugs
But
Life, the exact same thing.
I think going back to what you said, definitely with the Invincible, you're right, with the comics. Just for everyone to be aware, in my situation, I'm actually reading the comics as the show comes out. So after I finished the first season, I bought, as far as the comics have gone up to in the first season. So now I'm going to watch the second season and then do the comics. Most people would do the other way around, but I'm not most people. So I'm doing it backwards. So I wasn't aware of that. But
No,
you can't deny the influence of Infinity War
No, I
and
don't.
Endgame.
I don't. I think that what that they influenced is more so um, less on the multiverse. I think what their influence is heavily in the film in the movie saga is having connectivity and having an MCU, having a cinematic universe. So what
Yes.
the DCU has tried to do, direct influence, you can't even deny it. They didn't even think about doing all that in film. I don't think anyone or
Well, just going off
what
of that,
the
there might be an opportunity here for Invincible to tie to the boys, and them that's their new
yeah.
universe. And with Gen V,
Yep. Gen
Yeah,
V.
Gen V. Yeah,
That
great show.
having multiple. Yeah. So the boys, Gen V, those type of things, and then they had the cartoon. I forget what it was called.
I literally just watched it today too. It's like they're just like 15-minute clips, right?
Yeah, and it's like cartoons related to it. So it's
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
almost like
I
an
think they
anime
influenced.
version.
Yeah, creating like a cinematic universe. The MCU pioneered that
Definitely.
and made it viable and made it like from a business perspective. They're like, oh yeah, let's make universes. Let's make these. That's why you have like
I mean, if we're being real though, Star Wars really was the one that pioneered it. MCU kind of approached it in a different way, but
I think pioneer is probably the poor word. I think it's showed that it's fiscally responsible to do and makes sense like in the bank.
right.
So that you can do it at a high level and make money, and then other people think they can replicate it. So now people are trying to replicate that same energy.
Poor bastards.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out. I mean, the only
It's hard.
but I don't know what they're doing with the boys, but it seems to be fucking working out, right? Because Law here is a huge fan of the boys. I just watched season 1 and season 2. Just finished season 2 yesterday.
Amazing.
I'm on season 3, episode 1. I got to watch that today. But I know that with Gen V, right, they're handing off the episode, right? At the end of the season, they're handing it off back to the boys for season 4. And then it's going to go back to Gen V by the finale. So, I mean, they're setting something up there too. I heard rumors that because Invincible is a, Amazon product, that there could be some connection there too. I don't know if that's for
I
real.
think the
but
director's
we'll
the
have to-
same too. I think
Yeah,
the
I
director
think
was on
so.
both. One of them, either he was the director of Gen V or he's the director of The Boys, and he's also on Invincible.
And I heard that potentially we could see Spider-Man showing up in this season of Invincible, because now they've opened up the doors to the multiverse. So, and I know there's a lot of comics that have Invincible and Spider-Man together, from what I've heard. I haven't looked too
I
much
did not know
into
that.
it, but it seems like that's something that they're setting up for this season too. I've heard a lot of rumors of Spider-Man showing up. So yeah, I mean, definitely, they definitely pioneered the universe as far as the way that you said it, and also like consistently, right? Back to back to back to back years, right? It took Star Wars another fucking 20 years to realize that they wanted to do the prequels and then continue on to where we are now. So 100%. Are you all the way caught up with The Boys and shit?
Yeah, The Boys. Yeah, I love The Boys. I remember I tried to watch it with Mel, and like the first episode was if you remember the first episode.
Yeah.
They were pretty intense. So she was like, nope, it was kind of a Game of Thrones. She had a poor taste from the first episode of Game of Thrones and never could watch it again. Same thing happened with The Boys. So it's like
It only gets
you have too
worse
much-
from there too. That shit was light
Yeah.
work.
It's like the way it got worse, I feel like was more violence.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the sexual aspect of the worseness, and that's what the first episode had, where it
well-
was like that scene.
It definitely gets
Yeah, the Super
way
Club.
more sexual. That's for sure.
Yeah.
In some ways, yeah.
Andy, you haven't even.
Don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 3. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's amazing.
I can't wait.
My favorite season, Yulia.
Season 3 is the best. Yeah, it definitely built up. I think
really-
it progressed
Wholeheartedly
better.
agree.
Yeah,
Wholeheartedly agree.
100%.
Oh shit!
Loved
Then
it.
I'm really excited.
I've been
to
so
continue.
excited because I've been pushing them to watch The Boys.
I told him when it came out. I
And
was
I-
like, you should watch it.
I accidentally did this at a point where now they could just watch Gen V, and by the time they watch Gen V, season 4 should be coming out. Because are you caught up on Gen V as well?
I'm like an episode behind.
Okay, all right. I won't say anything then. I'm completely caught up. The handoff becomes
sweet.
clear.
I did get spoiled
I-
today though on Twitter.
No,
X. Yeah, I saw that Homelander shows up in the finale of Gen V. That's how they kind of link it.
not the finale.
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
I mean,
I don't think that was a finale.
I might have just spoiled that for Leo, but
It's
you've
probably
seen
next
the whole
episode.
thing,
That
right?
makes sense.
I'm completely
seems-
caught
I'm-
up.
Oh, okay. Then it happens at some point. So I mean, it's not a huge spoiler, but
Yeah.
I mean, you
I'm-
kind of expect it with a connecting universe like that.
right,
Like
right.
he's such
Yeah.
a prolific character in that series that it would kind of
Yeah.
be dumb to not expect him, especially with the handoff
Yeah,
news coming out already. So
yeah, for sure.
Exciting. I like that type idea. And if it's well executed, I love a connecting series. I love crossovers. I still am very hopeful that DC gets their crap together and there's a crossover between DC and Marvel. I think all those things were really, really cool. It's just that I don't want that in sacrifice of a good storyline or good reasoning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I want. I want it to be actually well done. Like, did you get the chance to watch The Flash?
I was literally about to ask you that. Yes, I did. Pretty bad. I mean, watchable.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some moments that like you can enjoy, but I've seen the Flashpoint animated movie, and it's the same plot, and that animated movie is fucking fantastic. So it's just not even on the same level. And I go back and forth with Ezra Miller as the Flash. I do. I think it's because I just
I
like
prefer the CW guy.
Grant Gustin. I fucking love him. He should
So
have been
good.
the casting for the Flash. Have you seen the
Yeah.
show?
Yeah.
He's so good.
So
He's
good.
amazing. I'm surprised he wasn't brought in. Like it just doesn't make sense to me that it's the same thing. You know what? It didn't make sense to me is the fact that they brought in Nicolas Cage, but they didn't bring in freaking what's the guy's name?
Cavill?
Superman.
Yeah. Who do they have? Like, what do they have against these people?
Oh. Yeah, but I think that was just kind of like a nod to the rumors that came out in the early 2000s that he was going to be Superman. So I think it was more of that thing. But yeah, I mean, they're obviously having crazy problems with Henry Cavill and contract negotiations because he should be the Superman. I don't give a fuck if you started the universe over. He should continue being Superman. He's the guy, dude.
Yeah.
He puts on the
perfect.
cape
He's
and
a
I'm like,
perfect
that motherfucker's actually Superman.
Yeah.
Like real life
Yeah.
Superman.
100%. If Marvel gets him and he sticks with Marvel, they're losing a lot of talent. And I thought when what's his face took over, James Gunn, right? James Gunn.
Yep.
I thought he was gonna really do some stuff. And Flash, I don't like Flash. I did not like it.
Well, the Flash he's not responsible for. I think the only thing he's responsible for is Blue Beetle, if I'm not mistaken.
And I heard Blue Beetle looks terrible. I don't know if it came out yet or even thing. I remember seeing
Did
it.
it
And I was
come
like,
out
that's
yet?
just
I think it did come out this past summer.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure it
pretty
did.
bad.
Damn. I didn't hear a
Yeah,
single
George
thing
Lopez
about
in or
it.
something.
No one was talking about it.
I saw the trailers and I was like, that's bad, man. That's
I
just bad.
think Blue Beetle is either the beginning or the end of all of that. And now it's like James Gunn territory moving forward from here. So
We'll see what
August
what to
18th.
expect.
yeah,
August 18th. Wow.
Damn.
I completely forgot about Blue Beetle. That
Yeah,
was
didn't even see it anywhere.
there was like a 10-day run where there was like a lot of commercials for it, and then just nothing.
wow, that's bad.
That's
You,
horrible.
it's bad when they don't even make a meme about it. They don't.
No
not a
one's roasting it.
single
Nothing.
Not a single screenshot of a person's face just commenting about it. Nothing. Just no one.
Dude,
No one cared.
I'd have so much anxiety being in charge of the fucking superhero genre right now and trying to build a universe. Oh my god, that anxiety. Never fucking sleep. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad Amazon's doing well with The Boys and with Invincible
Yeah.
because, to be honest, I wanted some different superhero type franchises to fall behind, and those are good.
what a perfect choice. What a perfect choice. Give us a politicized, real world, gruesome, dark superhero universe.
I'm glad you tied back into that. I want to correct myself that episode 8 was the final episode. So Gen V is officially finished.
Okay.
So the season 4 should be pretty soon.
Okay. Is there a release date for season 4? While you're
not yet, but I know I don't think there's a release date, but I know the producers came out and said that it's going to be the most graphic season yet,
Jesus Christ, I can't wait.
I imagine.
which is like fucking insane.
Just while you're looking for that date real quick, just some dates that came to mind that I forgot to mention to you. So I know today What If was announced. Second season is going to be dropping this holiday season at some point. So I'm assuming right before Christmas. That's exciting. I saw a tease for Stranger Things coming out in like the next 2 weeks. I don't know if that's fucking real or not. They posted a graphic that alludes to Stranger Things Day, which I think is maybe the first day that they released season 1. And there was like, see you guys then or something. So I don't know if that's the first trailer. I don't know what the fuck that means. But
They have to be already filming it because Millie Bobby Brown's getting way too
I
old.
thought they
to be
already
a
filmed
yeah,
it. They've just been waiting to like release it.
I actually just saw this before we started. There was you know how they have like the script readings
Yeah.
and all that. So there was just a post that I saw just before we started of like the first 2 sentences of the script, and it was like a Stranger Things teaser or something like that, and it's literally like them's like the setting, like describing the setting. I'll have to find that real quick.
So
We'll have to see.
So apparently, November 6th, that's the day in the story that Will Byers goes missing. So that's where the story begins. So I think that's what they mean by Stranger
Things Day or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of when the story began.
Have they said that there's something coming out on that day or something?
That's what I'm looking for. So far from what I see, season 5, it just says 2025 and beyond. So
2025?
And The Boys is early 2024, by the way.
Bro.
No date.
I mean,
Has anyone
the
dropped the
strike.
ball more than Stranger Things when it comes to dropping these seasons?
But I mean, it's the strike.
No, I know.
the strike.
But Jesus Christ. But it wasn't all the strike, right? Because they kind of like started to delay their process right there around like
Yeah, they
season
definitely
3
delayed
or
it.
something.
I think they took 2 years between one of the seasons. It's just way too long, man.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially for like, you think these are kids, so they're all growing, so it's hard to like believe that that's a 12-year-old girl, that's a 12-year-old boy when they're like growing. You know,
Oh,
They're in that growing age too, where like they're really sprouting up
they
too.
change. Yeah.
And just to
If they
go
were 18, it's easy to pass off like, oh, that 20-year-olds could be 18, that 22, like we can make it work.
Yeah.
But
and just going back to The Boys, you can't tell me that Huey doesn't look 46 years old. Every time I fucking look at him, I'm like, he's either 46 or 27. He's got wrinkles and shit. I'm like, I'm so lost, dude. You look like an old man.
Yeah, teaser for this teaser for the scene 1 script of the final season of Stranger Things, and then it's just like 2 sentences if you want it.
Maybe nothing. Maybe it's just a bunch of bullshit. I don't know what I
It's
saw.
literally just a darkness, the sound of cold wind, groaning trees, and ... a child's voice singing a familiar song, and then it cuts off.
Interesting.
That's as far as they wrote for season 5. That's actually all the script.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's like that
ChatGPT is
SpongeBob
working
episode where he's
overtime.
like writing the report and it's just
Where it's like, guys, season 5, 2025, we got to figure this shit out, though.
this is all we got.
Well, Leo, Brother, thank you so much for stopping in. There's so much more we could talk about, and we're definitely going to have you on again soon.
Sure.
Because who knows, bro? Thursday, something might fucking crazy happen in the MCU where we have to talk about it. So we'll see.
And Invincible, with it coming out and the season finishing,
Yep.
having the evil mark viewpoint and having that view in other perspectives, I imagine that you're, especially since you didn't read the comics, you're gonna
Yeah.
have some great perspective.
Yeah, I'm excited. When the teaser first dropped in the trailer and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, they're going into the multiverse. This is pretty cool. And then when it started and we had Evil Mark, I was like, oh shit, they're showing us what could have happened, which I thought was really cool. I did, just to say, I did finish that first episode feeling like not underwhelmed, just I guess I was expecting something else because of that final episode of season 1 with him and Omni-Man, and I was expecting like kind of a continuation from that. So I'm still kind of trying to grasp how I'm feeling. But obviously, it's just one episode, so I'm not going to overreact. But
Yeah.
how did you feel
Well,
about the first episode overall? You're happy with it? I mean, you read the comics, so
I mean, yeah. I mean, I haven't finished all of them, but I've read more of it. And so I'm happy with it, knowing, especially what could be and should be coming. Um, but I also remember that if you rewatched the first season, the last episode, it ended on that, and then it kind of regained. And then remember, he went to go meet what was his name, Kevin, or no, not Kevin, Allen or whatever. And they started talking and stuff. So if it had ended with just after Omni-Man left and then he goes to hospital and everything, I think I'd be more like where you are. But because the end of that episode was kind of relaxing in a way, where it kind of didn't end on that peak of like, what the hell is going to happen next? You kind of realized, well, nothing's going to happen right now. Let's see what happens. So
yeah,
I was excited to like kind of have that intro of seeing the alternate marks and all these things and showcasing like, wow, look how he could be so much like his dad and just do those things. And then even like him, spoilers. I mean, people listen to this. I imagine they're expecting spoilers, like that whole twisting in the neck. He's like, oh, that's what you were trying on the protesters. And it's kind of like what they're doing to the earth, right? Where they're not killing the earth, but they're going to take care of it until they deplete it. So he's going to keep Eve so he can enjoy her and visit her, but she's not really alive or do anything. So it's like, is it really worth? Is that better than being dead?
right.
Right.
What a
So it's an
concept.
interesting perspective. Yeah, it's
Oh,
very interesting. I'd be super eager if they change things and how they work with the multiverse. Imagine if they bring in evil Omni Man and
oh,
Invincible
fuck me, bro.
into that, like in that verse. That would be one. We haven't seen many person versus person in like these things in real viewpoints. Usually it's been in comics or evil person versus good person, but the same, like almost like what we'll expect from Kangs. That would be super interesting.
Oh.
Um, that would
I
be fun
I just
to
can't
see.
wait for the inspiration that comes from the boys, the Invincible, what it leads to for new shows, new movies. You know, studios taking bigger risks. Obviously, I mean, I can't imagine Marvel isn't noticing what's going on with the boys, and I can't imagine that wasn't part of why they're doing the rated R TVMA Marvel Spotlight content. They just
Yeah.
know the audience that we grew up with is growing as well, and of course, you have to continue feeding the younger generation because they'll be eventually teenagers who are watching our movies too. But I'm glad that they're listening to the older fan base and realizing what people want after what we saw. And I think people seeing in the MCU, seeing Thanos win and people's reaction from that, and seeing how positive it was, you know, to see the villain win is exciting. And I'm hoping that that kind of steers our superhero content moving forward. That there's a lot more, you know, villain led content, villain versus villain, the villain winning, darker themes, and just, you know, refreshing
Joker.
things that we
I
haven't
mean,
seen.
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. People, I think it's taken a long time for the industry to find out, but we like villains, and
Yep.
so make a good damn villain. When good can win, it's not terrible to win, but if you make a good villain, you can make a great movie just off the villain. So invest in those and show different stories. I think it's also a reflection of our time, right? When
Yep.
things are really bad, we want really good movies, but sometimes like really good stories like Bollywood. The reason why they're super like outgoing is because the tough times that people live there. But if we live in these times that are kind of cushiony in some ways, it's nice to see and have like a escape from my cushiony 21st century world and see a world where there's chaos and wars, and kind of think that my life looks a little bit better now. These things look a little bit better now. The potential wars aren't actually a multiversal war in these things, so it's a little bit like I don't know, reassuring to me in a way.
100%.
And maybe it is.
100%.
But
Leo.
thanks for having me, man. I really enjoyed the experience. Obviously, not seeing you guys face to face is a little weird, but we got a chance to.
Don't worry, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
For anyone who's listening to the pod, me and fam over here can't see Leo, and Leo can't see us. But Law, who's back there running the screens, he'll show
See
you
him
right now.
here, yep.
He can see
I
Leo.
love that you knew I was going to show them.
He's
Yeah,
like the
right
watcher.
here.
He sees everything, and no one I can't see him, so it's
He is the watcher.
And then when you see Leo on the screen, he goes to this big box right here. Makes my life a lot easier.
Damn, you might have a new nickname, Legend. The Watcher.
The Watcher.
I'm going to send you that one episode of What If.
Watcher.
The What If finale and the one before that are so fucking good. I can't wait for the second season.
Again, if they bring the watcher into real live action, that's when I'm gonna be like the ultimate nerd.
I think they're setting it up, bro. Because they got to do Galactus eventually, so they have to make those fucking, I don't even know what you call them, like mystical fucking entities,
Celestial type characters,
celestials, yeah. They tease it with Eternals. But anyways, we'll go for another 30 hours. Thank you so much, brother, for being here. I really appreciate it. We're gonna get you on again soon. All right.
Cool. You guys enjoy. Peace out, man.
Thank you, Leo.
See you, Leo.
Thank you, fam. See you.
Love you, brother. Thank you. Okay, guys. For the rest of the podcast, we have to get into some UFC stuff. You guys know that we keep track of our UFC records. We make picks for every pay-per-view card, and we keep track. I'm in third place, Fam in second place, Ledge in first place. We're going to go over the exact records right before we make our picks for this upcoming weekend, UFC 295, I believe.
So.
Yes, correct.
Unfortunately, John Jones out. So that main card, finite. We were thinking about doing a UFC companion stream where we, record a pod and while the fight's going on and talk about it and stuff. But without John Jones leading that card, it's not as interesting. Of course, Yuri and Alex Pereira still, what a legendary battle, especially if Pereira wins. So we can't wait to watch that. There is some news for some upcoming fights that are going to happen. So we are going to cover that here within the next few minutes. But we're going to take a quick pause. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Before we do our picks, there are some fights that were announced right before we started recording this podcast, so we just want to kind of go over them really quickly. The first stuff being for UFC 296, we have Sean Strickland.
97.
What did I say?
96.
Fuck! 297. Sean Strickland versus fucking Dracus du Plessis. Initial thoughts are du Plessis, what a journey to the belts.
Yeah.
Dodging Izzy, dodging that whole situation, and then getting Sean. I mean, it's crazy.
Kind of a silver platter there.
It really is.
I say that, but like we said that about Izzy.
If he could have picked a path that was with the least resistance, this would be it.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's like water, bro. He stayed liquid right there.
If
he just kept going the easiest path.
If Duplessis
And it
went
worked.
against Izzy, not 100% sure, but if he's going up against Sean,
But at least
I have
Izzy versus du Plessis, you'd get an Izzy that's fucking angry and like wanting to hurt this dude. Versus an Izzy who's fighting Strickland, he's like, oh, I just can't fall asleep because he's a bum and I don't want to get caught. And then ends up getting not just caught, but completely
He
dominated.
fell asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, he was sleeping
he
that
took
whole
a
fight.
nap. He took a nap.
So my first thoughts are just crazy. His journey to getting the belt.
Good for him.
Fighting for the
Strategic.
belt. Hell yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about strategy going to the belt once we get to O'Malley. But yeah, same thing. But it's usually the champion, gets to really choose the route of other people. So it's just interesting how it ended up all playing out. Just crazy. So the next announcement was for UFC 298 is going to be Volkanovski versus Topuria, which we had known. I think at first they wanted to do that like in December or January, but then of course the Islam fight and Charles not being able to fight. So of course Volk hops in. By the way, have you guys been seeing the memes of Volk hopping into like any fight?
I love it so much. I even love when it was like Tapuria backs out of the fight and Volkanovski steps up. Volkanovski
Versus Volkanovski.
Everyone, and I'm loving him.
So good, dude.
He's been leaning into it. I saw even him. He posted a couple of himself, and then he's like, he knows.
Yeah. Initial thoughts, I don't know too much of Tapuria. I think I just saw his last fight, so I'm not really sure with my expectations of him. But I can tell you that I not only hope, but I'm pretty sure that Volk is going to come out with some fucking tenacity.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a bounce back.
Oh, he's going to be looking to right his wrongs, and I think he realized after the press conference, he was crying. He was talking about the mental health struggles that he's been through. And he started to realize maybe he made a horrible decision taking this fight.
Yeah.
Because and he was saying this, he's like, I'm all about preparation and a long training camp. But for this one, I decided not to do it. And that goes against what I believe, but I felt like I had to do it. And then he's like, but I believe in preparation. So I think he started to realize, like, I said I believe in these things and I will absolutely always do these things, and then completely undercut all that because he saw an opportunity with Islam. And, he said it wasn't because of the money, but obviously we know the bag was probably 5 times what it would have been for any regular matchup, right? To save that card. So I imagine Volk with vengeance, and I think that's what we'll get.
Yeah, I just hope he's, 100%. I hope he's fully in it, and then when he goes into the fighting, because I know Tapura is a fairly tough guy. I really don't want to see him lose and have that be 2 losses, and it's just like, dude, if you need to take some time, take it. But if he's 100%, if he's ready for that fight, I want to see him win.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how that goes. Really cool. And then the last one, which is UFC 299. Interesting that they didn't announce 300 yet, which I don't think they should. And by the way, that card should be the biggest card from the last 30 years. Has to be.
Should get John Jones in that one.
Yeah. Just have John Jones fight everyone on the main
John
card.
Jones fighting Volk.
John Jones and Volkanovski just fighting everyone.
Each other 5 different times.
A Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
A UFC Royal Rumble.
A ladder match.
Boy.
A UFC ladder match.
Oh, I like that. Or tag team. Like tag in your teammate.
Yo, imagine UFC tag team.
It's a fucking good idea.
They bring Khabib back.
There should be a mode in UFC 5, which I haven't even played yet, but I hear it's mostly the same.
Yeah.
So 299 O'Malley versus Chito Vera. We've been talking about this for weeks on the pod. Mm-hmm. It ended up working out the way that we thought, right? This is really the fight that O'Malley picked and wanted, and it's really for vengeance and trying to right his wrongs and clean his record, right? Because his only loss goes to him, and we know that his excuse is he got hit in a certain spot that, 9 times out of 10 you won't hit, and that one time basically paralyzed his legs. So there was nothing he could do, and that's why he lost. So now he wants to avenge that, which I think is a great sell. And I like Cheeto. I like the idea of Cheeto more than I like Cheeto. You know what I mean?
I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
I see him in my mind.
I want to love him.
Yeah.
I want to love him, and I want to support him. And then every time I do, he kind of lets me down, and I'm just like, oh, great.
He gets out there, and it's just like, what?
It's what I told you today before we started the podcast. It was like I was watching a video of Cheeto, and it's like, he's just such a nice guy. Like, he tries to sell a fight, but he's just such a nice guy. That's when I was like, I want to more give him a hug than I want to support him as a fighter.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be his friend, but realistically, as a fighter, I'm like, you've let me down.
Yeah, he's a guy I like, give me 20 minutes with him and we'll be friends.
Yeah, I like Cheeto. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Okay, so let's make our picks for UFC 296, which is this Saturday. Unfortunately, no John Jones, which we talked about, but we still got Bejeda. And the rest of the fights on that card, we're not completely familiar with some of the fighters. Like we say, we watch so much. But the more and more we go on with this podcast and we're breaking down pay-per-views and looking at these cards that are coming up, you realize their roster is just insane.
I mean, really, how many people do you think are on the UFC roster? It's
honestly,
so many people.
Probably like 50 for... No, that's too much. Maybe like Maybe like 30 to 50 for each weight class.
I would say 30. 30 sounds good because you have the 15 ranks.
Yeah. 15 ranked and then 15 unranked. And then maybe like 10 kind of like waiting for someone to get hurt or something kind of thing.
I also want to say quickly, imagine buying tickets to John Jones fight.
Imagine. But also imagine betting on Derek Lewis, which we both did.
Yeah, I did. And it was dumb.
I shouldn't have backed you. It's not your fault. But it's what we said.
Yeah.
We said on the last pod. Yeah, flying knee. But I didn't get to see your bum ass a minute in and watch you quit, which is what this motherfucker did. Obviously has never grappled or wrestled ever in his fucking life.
I thought he reinvented himself. I had confidence. I loved him in the last fight.
I don't think he reinvented himself. You know what I think he did? I think he just started actually working out. Like doing his cardio, eating right, but he wasn't like
I thought he
working.
Nah, I think he was working more on his body than his fighting skill.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like he got more in shape.
I figured that's why you were saying what you were saying.
But didn't do any like training.
I thought he could handle himself a little better, but
did you see any of the fight?
it was a bonus bet, I'm pretty sure. So
this past Saturday.
Yeah, I watched the second to last one, which I forgot who it was. But I did watch Derek Lewis, and the Brazilian guy. It was
on his back for 5 rounds. Fucking embarrassing.
It was a snooze fest. Yeah, I mean, like he won. I think John Anik said the best. Like he won, but like this is entertainment. Like you won the fight, but then like realistically, what's that gonna guarantee you on your next fights? You're not gonna be a main event because if you know that's how you win.
Yeah.
Then, but at the same time, he's going against Derek Lewis.
Knowing your opponent.
Yeah, he knows his bombshell of a hand. He needs to play it safe and just keep it on the ground. But it is a kind of a lame way to win.
It's the right tactical decision. Lame way to win. I'm not as mad as him as I am with Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't be top 10 ranked. I know it's mostly for knockouts. I know the sport is kind of shifting from strikers to more grappling and but
tough.
I think unless you just feed Derek Lewis perfect matchups, that motherfucker should not be even in the UFC anymore. Fuck that guy.
By the way, total UFC fighters as of this is January 2023, so it is old, but at least over then it was 578.
Damn.
578 fighters. How many different weight classes do we have?
We got flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 in men's, and then women's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13. So what was that first number you said? 5 what?
5, 7, 8.
5, 7, 8 divided by 13 different divisions. That's about 44 fighters per division.
Damn.
We were pretty close on that.
Yeah.
30 to 50.
Flyweight 38. This one breaks
You
it
were
down.
closer, yeah.
And then bantamweight has 69, featherweight 70, 75 in lightweight. Because then when it gets to the women's featherweight from this day had 7. I was like, there's no one on there.
Wow.
Yeah, women's there's 24. There's a lot less women's in the UFC.
Yeah.
I think they said that there's 113 women, female fighters. And then there was 465 male fighters.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so when you think about that, those numbers are constantly moving around, and it's hard to keep track of people. And then you start to recognize a name, and then they retire because you only start really learning their name by the end of their career and things.
And just off the top of my head, because when you said retired, it came up to my mind. Not retired, but you saw Blood Diamond didn't get his contract renewed. They let him go.
Yeah.
And we've been saying that he doesn't perform.
No defense.
But we know he comes out of the Izzy camp, so we've been keeping an eye on him. But yeah, no defense, and he just, I don't know. Let's go to this fucking card this weekend. UFC 295. Boys, it feels like a million years ago since we went to UFC 292.
Right?
But what a dream that was. What a dream. Okay. So at the bottom of the card, we have Diego Lopes or Lopes. Brasileiro. Lopes. Versus Pat Sabatini.
I've heard of Sabatini. I've seen Lopez. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I've seen both of these
I'm
guys.
just gonna say Lopez. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can say Lopez.
Lopez.
I'll
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah.
What's their height? I do want to see their height difference because I know. Okay,
Both coming off of a
Diego's
win.
5'11", I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
It's hard to see.
Versus
5'11"
5'8",
5'8",
161 versus 145 walking around.
okay.
Reach is, not crazy. I'm going to go with Diego just off of the fact that he has, honestly, because he's Brazilian.
I think he's more versatile, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's hot right now, man.
Are both of
He's
these
on a roll.
Are both of these guys unranked?
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay.
I think so.
All right.
Law.
I think this will be Diego's ranked fight, though. If he wins, I think he gets a rank.
You going Diego as well, Law?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I think he's I think he's a more versatile fighter.
Yeah.
So
Do you know our records?
he's more
off the top?
well-rounded.
Yeah. I just have the number of correct. Law has 13. You have 10. I have 11.
Okay, I think it was out of like 18 total or 19 total. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Diego on this one as well. I also feel confident, and he's been killing it.
Yeah, he's real hot.
He's
right
been
now.
on a streak,
He's got
so-
momentum,
Yeah.
mega momentum.
Yeah.
We also can't forget that this is a MSG card, New York. So we are going to get a lot of Americans on this.
Might as
and
well
John,
just start building this parlay now.
yeah, and John Jones was supposed to be leading it, but whatever.
Oof.
Okay, so next we have Matt Frevola, ranked number 14 versus Benoit Saint Denis. French. Matt is a plus 170 underdog. Let me see their stats here. I'm not familiar with this French guy. at all.
We've seen him fight together. But
we have.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He's
one loss.
I was watching a couple highlights of him. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. He seems like he's a heavy hitter, but slow puncher. And he goes to grappling. Matt Frevola, though, he just seems like a brawler. He seems really, really tough. Like a Michael Chandler-esque kind of guy, just the wide stance, heavy punches.
My nationality bias wants me to pick the Frenchman, but I might go with Matt here. That one loss is nice, though, on that French guy.
Yeah.
Ooh. Let me pick second. What do you think, fam?
Honestly, tough as well. I'm not super familiar with them. At least from what I've seen on highlights, Matt seems a little bit more like he pushes forward more. And I have a feeling that he might be able to catch Benoit, catch him a good amount of time, maybe finally push Benoit back. Maybe he's not going to be that used to it. He does seem like he's good at grappling, but I'm going to go with Matt on this
Can you
one.
show win by, the significant strikes, all that stuff, just real quick?
Matt's last win was
up a little
against Drew Dober as well.
It says,
Okay.
Say it again?
Matt's last win was against Drew Dober.
Oh, Dober's good. I like Dober.
Yeah.
So Matt Frivola's win percentage, 36% KO, 27% sub, 36% by decision. Wow. And this Benoit, 25% finish with KO or TKO, 75 sub, 0% decision. Average fight time, 8 minutes.
Shoot, my bad.
No, it's okay. Knockdown average, 1. Go to significant strikes. Ooh, landed per minute, 5. Significant strikes, 52%. Okay. Grappling.
Oof. That proved me wrong.
Let's see. Takedowns. Oh, this motherfucker wants to go to the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing as well. He does seem like a grappler.
All right, I picked the Frenchman.
I kind of, yeah.
You're going to switch it up?
Kind of.
It's okay. Now's the
No,
time.
but now that I'm looking at the stats, and he is much more of a grappler. And after coming off of that Derek Lewis, that once you go to the ground, yeah, shit's tough.
Very tough.
Shit.
At least you don't have to bet on it. Me and Law have to fucking
Yeah,
bet
I'm betting on it. I'm building the parlay as we speak. I'm doing this fight by fight.
La, who are you going with? Just
Saint Denis.
Yeah, me too.
Saint Denis.
he's a favorite.
Beetle Saint Denis.
All right. Fuck it. I'll go with him as well.
All right.
Just because he's a grappler.
Yep.
Forgot about that.
Same picks for both of the first two for all of us.
Uh-oh.
I'm just going to leave Dennis. I'm going to write Dennis on these.
We're going to be waiting for the fights to happen. Like, who the fuck is Dennis?
Dennis, dude, right?
All right, next one.
Next one on the list.
Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern. I'll let you lead the way with this one, fam, because you were mentioning this a little bit.
Brazil versus Brazil. Yeah. Mackenzie Dern, good grappler, very good on jiu-jitsu. Jessica Andrade, fairly good striker. Andrade has been coming off of a bit of a losing streak.
3-fight losing streak right now.
This is going to be, I think, her 5th fight of the year. And she won the first one, lost the last 3, and then she's
lost to Blanchfield, Jan, and Suarez.
Funny enough, Jan, that fighter, she beat both Mackenzie Dern and Jessica Andrade.
Oh, wow.
Jessica Andrade. I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern on this one.
What are the odds for this fight?
I don't think they have one yet.
Oh, no odds, yeah.
No.
On DraftKings, as of right now, it's Andrade's plus 164 and Mackenzie's minus 198.
Wow, that's closer than I thought it would be. I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern. I like watching Jessica fight.
I love Jessica Andrade, and I hate that I'm about to go against her. And I know it's going to bite me in the ass.
But it might just be the difference between someone who knows how to fight versus someone who's just a fighter. You know what I mean? Like Mackenzie's trying to get out there unharmed, trying to win the fight, trying to come out on top. Jessica's like, I'm in there to put on a show. I'm trying to hurt somebody, and sometimes that doesn't always go your way. This is a fucking tough one, actually. But I'll go with Mackenzie just based off of Andrade's, loss record this past year. 5 fights, you said this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be her 5th.
Damn.
This will be her 5th.
Damn.
She's putting in work.
And that fucking
I love Andrade, man.
She's been losing.
Yeah. It's tough to see her losing.
I'm counting on her being pretty burnt out too.
And the losses aren't decision as well. I think the first one was submission, then a KO, and then another submission. So,
yeah, Blanchfield was submission in the second round. Jan was knockout first round, and then Suarez was submission second round.
And you could tell that the weight class just doesn't have a lot of names because in any other weight class, Andrade is not getting this fight.
No.
And
it's 2 losses by submission, and Mackenzie Dern is a good grappler. So,
are we all going Dern on this one?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Going Dern.
Next.
Oh, you don't her take that. Yeah.
I don't want to. I love Andrade, but
Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall.
I love Tom Aspinall.
I do too.
His face specifically, the way he just he has that fuckboy face.
I do too, but look at this Russian motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm going Pavlovich.
Yep. Me
Pavlovich looks straight out of a fucking Rocky movie, dude.
Yeah, he does.
That dude is scary as shit. On this one, I'm gonna take Tom on this one, just to make it a little interesting. And I have been keeping an eye on Aspinall's kind of rise. It's been a slow rise for him. He's very gifted athletically. It's in New York. He's an American versus a Russian. You might get a little steam under his belt. He's 2 inches taller, so he won't look tiny in there.
Yeah.
But that 84 to 78 inch reach is fucking bananas. But I also heard a stat that Mike Tyson never had the reach advantage once in his career.
No. Mike Tyson was tiny compared to all his fighters.
So if you know how to use your reach correctly, it doesn't matter as much as you think.
Yeah. Size doesn't matter. It's about how you use it.
Exactly. So if we could, let's go through just these little subcategories real quick. Okay, so Pavlovich has 0 subs. Aspinall has subs. God, Asmo, take it to the mat. I don't give a fuck, bro. Beat this guy. Okay. Significant strikes, kind of the same-ish.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And then just grounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Tommy on this one.
Not a bad take, because I was watching highlights and Tom Aspinall looks great, but Sergio Pablo, I was just this dude's has bombs for arms, dude. He's just knocking everyone.
He's
out.
insane.
Yeah.
He's not terrible on the ground either.
He looks like he was made straight out of like a Russian soldier factory lab, like straight out of fucking The Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy looks scary as fuck. I'm with Tom on this one though.
Yeah,
I'm the only one, right?
only one.
Boom.
Yep. Main event.
Pajeda versus Yuri Prohashka. This is gonna be a fucking banger.
Yeah. And
I was telling you, man, I was having serious tough time deciding on this one.
yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I think quickly, Yuri lost to Glover, right?
No.
Shayda?
No, he won.
He beat Glover.
But they fought twice, I think.
No.
No?
No.
Who did Glover beat then to get the belt? Because it was 40 and he choked someone to win the belt. Wasn't it Yuri? Or am I thinking of because then there was a rematch and then Glover lost it.
Blachowicz?
Blachowicz?
Blachowicz? Blachowicz?
That's who it was?
Blachowicz.
Yeah.
They've only fought once, Glover and Yuri won by submission.
Okay.
Round 5.
Yeah.
Never mind. Totally fucking ignorant UFC fan over here.
And then it was Jamal Hill
Yeah.
afterwards that Glover lost to.
I've only honestly seen like maybe one or two of Yuri's fights.
He's a beast.
I know he is. He just looks like a fucking psycho.
He just came off of major surgery though. Major shoulder surgery.
Shoulder surgery.
Dana White said it was the worst shoulder injury he's ever seen.
From Yuri.
Yeah.
I'm going Pajeda.
Well,
I loved
he got his
Pajeda.
shoulder fixed, so I'm going Yuri.
I loved Pajeda coming up in the middleweight division. I loved how he was looking. When he was fighting Izzy, he looked like that same guy.
Yeah.
Even in the second fight, I think the second fight, Alex put himself in a bad position. He should have known. Like the last time Izzy had a chance against me was when he was playing dummy, going back to the cage, trying to catch me. And he caught me in that first round of that first fight. And then that's what Izzy did again. So I think it was more a reflection on, maybe Pajeda just, not playing it as smart as he could. So I think he'll correct those mistakes, moving up a weight class. He's looked good. I'm going Alex.
It's tough. Yuri's very good on the ground as well.
Destiny, though, bro.
Go through those stats, man. They have very similar stats.
But you can't forget Pajeda's destiny, which is to win the light heavyweight belt and then go fight Izzy if he's back by then, take his belt and be a 2-time belt champ. You can't forget the destiny this motherfucker's on, the path. Chasing Izzy from kickboxing to coming here and beating him, then going up a weight class, and then beating the guy in that weight class that Izzy couldn't beat, and then go back to Izzy, whoop his ass, and take his belt again. Yeah. Which I'm hoping doesn't happen because I like Izzy, but
takedown accuracy 100% on both.
I don't think this fight's going to the ground as much as I hope. Got to make a pick, brother.
Oh, I know. Oh, am I the last one?
Yeah.
To make the pick? Fuck.
Law went Yuri. I got Alex.
Dude, I'm gonna go Yuri.
Wow.
And do you know why? I just don't feel like Alex Pajeda has had his build up. I feel like, I think the focus is gonna be on Yuri now. I think it's his time to shine a little bit. Alex has his moment to shine, and I just have a feeling that the UFC gods are just gonna be like, you know what? Let's take him off the burner a little bit, leave him on the side, just a little bit, give him a little loss.
I get you.
And let Yuri have his moment. So I'm gonna go Yuri on this one as well.
I get you. What are the odds out for this one?
I just had it.
I also want to remind you guys that Yuri was champion and
Yeah.
he vacated because of the shoulder injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Alex minus 155. Favorite. Interesting. Favorite over the champ. Well, technically not a champ right now, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then those are all our picks, boys. Any additional thoughts, notes? No?
No.
No?
No. Excited for this one. Excited because it's going to be a good fight. Also excited because we're going to be all together.
Yeah.
When these fights happen.
Listen, this card is not what it was, but they did a pretty good job filling it up. It's not a terrible card.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad card.
But at the end of the day, we've learned as UFC fans that it's not really so much the names, it's the fights by the end of the night.
Yeah.
And any card on any night can be fucking fantastic. So
I'm just saying, like, on paper, it doesn't. It's a good scramble card.
yeah.
That's what I'll call it, a scramble card.
But
'cause
imagine
they
if
definitely
you kept
scrambled.
this as the co-main and then still had oh my god, bro.
It would have been perfect. That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Also, just want to throw out did you guys see that the UFC, that kid that won the sweepstakes of the UFC, like the matchmaking sweepstakes, that he can go. So pretty much like.
Oh, I did see that, and they hired him, right?
Apparently, like he made such good picks and then helping out, giving like knowing everyone in the roster that Dana White gave him a job. And I'm like, bro, that's destiny right there as well. If that guy starts actually, working a lot with the UFC, and I'm like, dude, that's the destiny for you to just happen to win that sweepstake, and you happen to just be an expert on the UFC as well. It's just perfect. Good for that kid.
Where can we find some destiny like that?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do we got to fucking do? Do more sweepstakes, I guess. Sign up for more like McDonald's,
We got to just stick our neck out, man. Just stick your neck out and just explore the world. Got to explore new opportunities.
Yeah. All right, guys. Next time we'll be seeing you when we do this pod in Ukraine. Have a wonderful rest of your day, afternoon, night, wherever you are, at whatever time watching this video. If you made it this far in the video, we appreciate it more than you know. Make sure you like the video. And we'll see you next week. Peace. Oh, also next week will be a very special episode with some very special guests. And it'll be very fun.
What?
Filmed on Pioneer Day weekend.
Yo, what? No way.
You don't want to miss it. See you next time.
Peace. Again.
Love you guys.